There is something that's occurring in Cameroon which I want to address as far as the upcoming presidential election is concerned. Now, some of you may insult me, say whatever I want to say, I don't care, but I have to pass the message as objective as possible. There is a situation following the candidate Professor Maurice Kamto and Manidem. Now, why many people are saying that Professor Maurice Kamto's resignation from CRAM is not compulsory or mandated by law, some are saying that it's mandated by law. Professor Maurice Kamto is one of Cameroon's leading opposition leader that came second during the 2018 presidential election. But over the years, he has been deemed inconsistent by some persons, whereas his supporters see him as a strategist and consider all of his moves as being strategic. However, his candidacy as Electoral may seem to have a lot of issues, as some are debating whether or not his candidacy at elections Cameroon will stand or not. Others are of the opinion that it will not stand. Some are of the opinion that it will stand. Those who are of the opinion that it will not stand are paying the fact that Professor Maurice Kamto was supposed to have resigned from his party, CRM, ahead of time, 2 weeks before his official nomination as the candidate for Manidem party, and that he was supposed to notify competent authorities, the governor and Ministry of Territorial Administration, about his resignation. Others are saying that he ought not to resign, that he ought not to present any document to any document of his resignation to the governor and to the Minister of Territorial Administration. Now, let me come and give my objective analysis here. It may not be the law, but these are situations or principles regulating NGOs and political parties or associations. According to the 1990 law, which ushered in the freedom of association, it stipulates that before you open an NGO, you must have held meetings, and the documents of all those who are members of that association will have to be forwarded to the Ministry of to the SDO in requesting for an association to be a permission to be given to open an association, and the leader, the president, and whoever need to be given. Now, in case of resignation, I don't know what many people may consider, but in case of resignation, it is not mandated per law per se, but also nice so that if a leader, if there's a change of structure, there's also an obligation where you are supposed to notify competent authorities such that that person who has been removed should not come in future and protest that he is still the leader. Now, let me fast forward and come to the case of Professor Maurice Kamto. Now, this is how he operates in Cameroon. When a party holds its Congress, let's say the SDF party or whichever party holds its elective Congress, once a leader is voted, to be the chairman of the party, what happens is that the competent authorities are informed. The reason why they are informed is to prevent issues from occurring in future where some person can come and claim that they are still legitimate persons of this party. By so doing, it means that if SDF has a Congress, at least it is good to notify the Ministry of Territorial Administration, because the Ministry of Territorial Administration is the one regulating or supervising all the activities of political parties, associations, and NGOs, meaning that MINAT has a prerogative to know who is your leader and who is not your leader. Now, in case a leader is removed and you had actually notified MINAT that this was our leader and that leader is no more, it is very imperative for that party to actually administratively send a legal note to the Minister of Territorial Administration and to the governor to notify. It may not be by law, but a legal note administratively that we have had a change of structure. This person has resigned. This person is no longer a member of our party. That is how procedure administratively it should be. And now, this issue about Kamto situation may not be looked upon as an administrative issue, but the court will have the right to determine, or the elector will have the right to determine whether or not his candidacy meet the standard based on this explanation or not. However, before you go and say she should not resign, you should know that as a president of a party, you are different from a member of that party. Let's say Jarvis is a member of any party. If I'm a member of, let's say, SDF or CPT or whatever, I have a right to resign and not notify anybody. In terms of administratively, not the SD or the DO. I have the right to resign from the party and give my resignation letter from the party, and that ends there. But if me, I am the head of a party, I am supposed to make it known officially. Both the public and the international community should know, and administration status should know that I am not part of that party. So while many Cameroonians sometimes argue out of emotions, it is always good to look at issues both administratively and legally. There may be a precedent. A law may take into precedent. Now, concerning the issue about CPDM, the deposition of two candidacy, because currently CPDM has now two fights at Electoral. One with President Pobia, deposited by the Secretary General of the ruling party, deposited by Secretary General of the ruling party, Jean Kweti. Another one of Leonie Onana, deposited by Onana, which is another person seeking to represent CPDM for the presidential election. Now, what does the law state? The UPC had a similar situation in 2018, and their candidacy was rejected. But in this case, can that same law apply to CPDM? First, for the law to apply, this is what must happen first. Elecam must be able to determine whether or not both files actually meet the criteria for a person to be declared as a candidate to stand for the election. Let's say, for example, the two files meet the criteria. They have paid their caution. They meet the legal issues about as per party. If both files meet the legal issue, that is when now the law of UPC, what happened in 2018 UPC, may be debated upon CPDM. That may possibly lead to the cancellation of the party or suspension of the party from taking part in the 2025 presidential election. Now, as of now, we cannot say that that law should apply because Elecam has not reviewed the system. Now, concerning the reviewing has not reviewed the candidate. Now, concerning the deposition of candidate, there's an argument that many people are asking is it anybody that can go and deposit the document at Elecam? Yes. Anybody can get up today or tomorrow and go and deposit the document at Elecam. You can go and deposit a letter, you write a handwritten letter that God has actually asked you to stand for presidential election. You photocopy your ID card, you photocopy your birth certificate, you photocopy any document, and you take that letter that you say God has asked you to be president of Cameroon. You go to Elecam and submit. What Elecam will do is Elecam will simply receive the document and acknowledge receipt, and you will snap your picture with Elecam that you have deposited your document. Elecam now will not add their name to the list of people who have deposited document. You must not pay the 30 million caution per se, but 30 million caution is one of the conditions for your documents to be valid, which means that Elecam will accept your document and publish your name that Mr. So has deposited his document at Elecam seeking to be candidate. After the July 21st deadline, Elecam, which is on Monday, Elecam now will now sit and start examining the files case by case. If a file does not meet the criteria, if you have not paid your 30 million caution, your party has not invested in you, or you don't have the 300 signatures, and you don't have the certificate of no conviction, that is when Elecam will throw the file away, and Elecam will produce what is called a tentative list. The tentative list that Elecam will produce, those who feel disgruntled, who think that they may have been removed from the race, will have a time frame to go to the Constitutional Council, which is the pre-electoral petition, and now submit their complaint to the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council will hear their legal arguments, and after their legal arguments have been listened to, the Constitutional Council will give it ruling. Whatever decision that the Constitutional Council reach at, that is permanent, that is amen. Nothing can change. So if the Constitutional Council decide that they should add their name to the list, then after the verdict of the Constitutional Council, your name will be added, and the final list will be released by Elecam, which are those who will be on the ballot. Since they already paid that 30 million caution, they'll be on the ballot, and now they'll wait till the 22nd, till the second week of September, before they will start their campaign. They will have 2 weeks to campaign, start their campaign, and campaign will end on midnight, the 11th of October 2025. Now you have gotten the update. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.